Hello, welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Well, today's the day. This is the running of the Kentucky Derby. It's Derby Day. And on Derby Day, everything points to Louisville. And one of the things that is famous, or Louisville is famous for, is for their Kentucky hot brown. And it was originally created in the Brown Hotel down in Louisville. In fact, this is the 100th anniversary of the hot brown. And it was originally made by Chef Fred Schmidt. And the Brown Hotel, back in the 1930s, had a big ballroom, and they used to host a lot of dances in there. And Chef Schmidt wanted to make something a little bit better for his guests, and kind of in the wee hours of the morning as the music was winding down, and they were getting hungry. And so what he did was he came up with this recipe, and people just absolutely loved it. And this became the hot brown. And on Derby Day, I believe they served between 800 and 1,000 servings of hot brown at the Brown Hotel. And so it's become an institution there. Now, there's a lot of recipes out there, but you can actually go to the Brown Hotel and they will give you the recipe, Chef Schmidt's original recipe, and that's what we're going to use here. There's lots of ways that people cheat. I've seen a lot of different things done on videos, but today we're going to do the way that Chef Schmidt originally did. So let's get going. Now, the ingredients in this is turkey, tomatoes. I've got some bread, and we use Texas toast where he just used white bread, bacon, and cheese, and we're going to make a Mornay sauce. And really, that's it. Now, I've gone ahead and I've toasted the bread, I've crisped the bacon, and I've baked the tomatoes here, so we won't have to spend a lot of time on those. And I just thought you probably would rather just see it being assembled rather than me frying the bacon. So let me get started. The first thing we want to do is we're going to make our Mornay sauce. And a Mornay sauce starts out with butter and flour, and we're going to make a roux. And a roux is just essentially it's butter and flour in equal proportions and whisked until it melds all together, until it's incorporated. And in some cases, like Cajun food, where they actually use the roux as a coloring, they actually whisk it until it turns various shades of brown. We're not going to do that because a Mornay sauce for hot brown is a white sauce. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to let this heat up for a minute. For our Mornay sauce, what we're going to use is we're going to use the butter. I've got some flour, a cup of cream, a cup of milk, some Pecorino Romano cheese. Now, this is kind of a hard cheese, very firm. And it's going to be tempting just to go down to your local store and get the shredded kind already. And I don't recommend that. And the reason for that is because when they shred it, keep from sticking together, they put cellulose around it, and it doesn't melt, very good. So we're just going to grate it ourselves. We're going to use a little salt, a little pepper. I've got some nutmeg we're going to use, and then we're going to go ahead and make our Mornay sauce. Then we'll assemble it. So the first thing let's do is I've got some extra. I have some extra flour. And the reason is because if this comes out, if it comes out too thin, I can thicken it up a little bit. If this comes out too thick, I've got a little extra milk here that we can go ahead and take care of that with. So, right now, the flour and the butter is all incorporated together. I'm going ahead and I'm whisking this around, and the reason is I want to cook that flour taste out of it. That's one of the tastes I absolutely do not like when you're fixing a meal, is to bite into it and it tastes flour. So, no, we're not going to do that. So, all right. I just took a little bit of the milk and I put it in there. Now I'm going to go for my cream. And we whisk this and whisk it. And it's getting thick again, so let's put some more in. Now we want this a little thick when we go ahead and put it on the sandwich. And the reason for that is when we put it in the oven to go ahead and bake it, it'll go ahead and it'll soften and kind of flow downward. Now, the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to boil this. We want to keep it on a medium to medium-high simmer, just so it gets warm enough that it lets the flour thicken this, but we don't want to boil it. Now I'm going to put this under the detail camera, and so you can go ahead and see the color of it, and you can see it's a white sauce. All right, now I'm going to put in some of our Pecorino Romano. And we want to put a half cup in there. I have more than a half cup here. And that's because I'm going to use some at the end. I'm going to garnish with it. All right. And remember, keep whisking this. Now, Pecorino Romano, as I mentioned, is kind of a hard cheese. It's very firm, and so it's going to take a little bit longer to smooth out into this. So just keep whisking; it'll get there. Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for. It's getting there now. So I'm going to turn it down is delicious. But it needs a little salt. We're going to put in our nutmeg. And that's just a pinch. And we're going to put in a little salt. And a little bit of pepper. Now, generally in a white sauce, you'd use white pepper. And the reason is because the white pepper doesn't give little black specks in there. But since we already are using nutmeg in there, I just went ahead and I just used black pepper. Much better. It actually tastes extremely good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and clean this part up and get the rest of the ingredients. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start assembling. We're going to assemble part of it. We're going to put it in the oven and we're going to heat up because we want to make sure the turkey is well heated in there before we put it in to do our final broil, just because you don't want to have cold turkey in the sandwich. We're going to go ahead and heat that up, and then we're going to go ahead and put the rest of it on, flash it under the broiler, and then it's time to plate and eat. Well, it's already going to be plated. So at that point, it's time to taste. So I'll be right back. Don't go away. Okay, the morning sauce is done. So now let's go ahead and we're going to start the preliminary assembly. And what we're going to do there is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to make our sandwich. We're going to put the bread. We're going to put the turkey and a little bit of the morning sauce down there. And the tomatoes. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to let everything heat up. Then we're going to bring it back out again. We're going to put a little more of the cheese on the top, and then we're going to go ahead and flash it under the broiler for just a little bit. Now, the original hot brown was served in a, it's heated. It's served, in kind of it looks like a cast iron pan. Sometimes it is served in a cast iron pan, but it's usually ceramic with a handle on it. In this case, I don't have one, so what I'm using is I'm just using an oven-proof plate. All right, now the first thing we do is we take and we chop off just the outside. We chop off just the outside of the bread. Why do we do that? Because Chef Schmidt originally decided that the crust on there just didn't look right. And so what he did was he went ahead and he cut the crust off, and we've been doing it ever since. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll put our bread down. And we're going to go ahead and put some turkey on this. And one thing that Chef Schmidt was not is chintzy. He did put, if you go back and look some of their hot browns, you'll notice he put a lot of turkey on there. So, all right, now let's go ahead and we're just going to put a couple of these Roma tomato pieces on there. And a little bit of our Mornay sauce. Okay, I'm going to take just a little bit of parsley and put that on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to put it on a baking pan. I'm going to stick it in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes and let this get nice and warm. Okay, that's it for right now. I'll be back in about 10 minutes and we'll finish it up, and then we get to taste, well, at least I get to taste it. So don't go far. I'll be right back. Okay, it's been in the oven about 10 minutes, so let's go ahead and let's pull it out and let's see what it looks like. There. This is exactly what we want it to look like. And I'll put this under the detail camera so you can see. You'll notice how the Mornay sauce has just a little bit of brown in it. It's starting to brown. The turkey is nice and hot inside there. And so let's go ahead and let's finish it. Okay, we're going to put just a little more cheese on there, and the traditional hot brown is always served with a cross, of 2 strips of bacon on there. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this under the broiler for a few minutes, and let's go ahead and let's brown up the cheese. I got it set for 5 minutes, but I don't think it's going to take that long. So anyway, I'll go ahead and turn it off again just so you don't have to wait. So I'll be right back. Okay, I didn't think it'd take 5 minutes. It actually didn't. It took about 2.5. So let's go ahead and let's pull it out and let's see what it looks like. There. That's what a Kentucky hot brown should look like. Let me go ahead and put this once again under the detail camera here so you can take a look. Now, go ahead and garnish with a little bit of parsley. There. And if you want, go ahead and just grate a little Parmesan Reggiano on it. So here we have it. Here we have an original Kentucky hot brown. But wait, we're not done yet. There is one thing we have to do. Let me go ahead and put this back over in the oven. And remember, this is a derby party. So what's a derby party if we don't have a mint julep? So let's make that. All right, for a mint julep, we need to start out with mint leaves. And we want to take and we want to save a mint top off the leaves stem because we want to use that as a garnish. We also need a simple syrup. And what a simple syrup is this 1-to-1, a cup of sugar, a cup of water. You know, bring it to a good simmer until all the sugar is dissolved in there. Let it cool down, and there you have it, simple syrup. You can go and buy it in a liquor store or whatever and pay a bunch of money, but that's what it is. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to put some mint leaves into our glass. Now, we have to take and we have to muddle this a little bit. In other words, we have to go ahead and extract the oils from the leaves. All right. I'm making a couple of them. I'm thirsty. By the way, a year ago at Derby time, I taped an episode on making mint juleps. So if you want, go back to that. It shows step by step how to go ahead and make them. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to put probably about 2 to 4 ounces of bourbon in there. And of course, remember, it has to be Kentucky bourbon if we're going to have it for the Kentucky Derby. So, okay. Now, we put in half that amount of simple syrup. And finally, we put in some crushed ice. Okay, we'll go ahead and just stir this a little bit. And go ahead and put our mint leaves on. And there we have it. That's a mint julep. So anyway, I couldn't let you go out without at least giving it a taste. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. You can taste the mint, you can taste the bourbon, And the simple syrup, is used to just kind of mellow everything out. So, here we go. Not only have we made Kentucky hot brown, but we've also made a mint julep to go with it. So, I hope you take this episode and I hope you give it a try. It's not too bad, and other than the prep work of just kind of toasting the bread and browning the bacon in advance, it's not that tough. So anyway, give it a try. I really would appreciate it if you did, and let me know. Drop me a comment on here, or better yet, give a thumbs up, or better yet than that even, subscribe. Because after all, you don't want to miss any episodes from your favorite chef, do you? I didn't think so. Okay, until the next time, everybody, take care, God bless. Remember that cooking should always be fun. And as you can see, at least to me, it certainly is. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you next episode. Bye for now.